Tanjiro raw dog Akaza's cheeks. Tanjiro has literally outdone himself in the Infinity Castle. My man has the sun breathing down, along with a selfless state and glimpse of the transparent world. Phew! But what would have happened if Tanjiro had this from day one? Would he fold upper moons just like how I fold in front of my anime waifus? Or will the story be any different? And if you would have noticed, there's something fishy in this video. I think you might have guessed it by now. This is Easter egg time! If you can find out all the Easter eggs in the video and submit them in the link in the description, you might just win a cool reward. So be attentive, otherwise you'll miss them. We'll discuss a timeline where Tanjiro is transported to his 3-year-old self and how he navigates the story after that. After defeating Akaza and fainting, Tanjiro is transported back into his 3-year-old self as he opens his eyes to find himself in the lap of his father. Even though Tanjiro has the wit of a 16-year-old self, he's still a little furry boy who's waiting for his boyfriend to come pick him up. Okay, I'm kidding. Even though Tanjiro has the wit of a 16-year-old self, he's still a little boy who's learning to control himself through childhood. Tanjiro wonders what he should do, as he has less than 10 years to save his family from Muzan and contact Ɡ𝐤𝐤 and the Demon Slayer Corps, who might not even be there yet. Even trainers like Urokodaki and Jigoro wouldn't have started training students. From the moment Tanjiro is able to talk,
motherfucker, I'll chew his ass up.
He decides to learn every last move of sun breathing, aka Hinokami Kagura, from his father, so that he could toast Akaza's ass the moment he meets him. Also, he knows what all tragedies the Hashiras are going to go through, so he begins to concoct a plan to contact Kagaya in 3 years, when he's mastered the Hinokami Kagura to a good extent. The time passes and Tanjiro becomes fully adept in the Hinokami Kagura. Winter comes and now he can finally do the dance. He performs it well. However, when it ends in the morning, he's greeted by a similar yet different face. Before Tanjiro could make his move and contact Ubuyashiki, Kagaya himself came to see Tanjiro. Tanjiro is shocked, but Ubuyashiki explains that his foresight compelled him to come there, as he had been dreaming about him for a whole year now. Before Tanjiro could even speak, Ubuyashiki asks Tanjiro's permission to take Tanjiro with him, and the latter accepts, sensing the position of Kagaya and his assurance that he'll be taken care of. As they both reach the headquarters, Tanjiro is baffled to see that except for Shinjuro, there is no other Hashira there. Kagaya explains that the ranks of the Demon Slayers have dwindled, and only the Flame Hashira stands at the moment, which surprises Tanjiro. Before Tanjiro is able to explain that he's from the future, Ubuyashiki explains that he's been having visions of him from the past year, and that he might be the one to reawaken the lost flame of sun breathing that once terrorized Muzan, to the point he turned himself into a full mamacita. I'm just kidding. With the situation so grave, Tanjiro decides to hide the truth. He explains to Kagaya that they need to wait, and Tanjiro needs to go into hiding to train alone. Kagaya, sensing no amount of fear or shift in Tanjiro's voice, allows it on one condition: that he give him his Nezuko body pillow back. Okay, I know she's practically 4 at this point, but I have to make those bad jokes anyway, okay? Moving on, Tanjiro trains in hiding for 6 years. By then, most of the Hashiras had already been through their journeys and joined the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro, now almost a living, breathing weapon, stands before the Hashiras at just 12 years old, with an aura even heavier than Muzan Jackson. An aura even heavier than the meanest aura farmers of Demon Slayer, aka 𝐿𝐵𝐸 and Kokushibo. Sanemi asks Kagaya to explain what is going on, while Kagaya just nods and instructs Tanjiro to speak. Tanjiro reveals that he knows where Muzan will be 1 year from now and that he wishes to end him as soon as he arrives. Sanemi, still perplexed, questions Tanjiro, saying that it still doesn't explain his presence. Tanjiro looks straight towards Sanemi, telling him that he isn't strong enough to face the upper demons yet, let alone Muzan. This sends Sanemi into a frenzy as he rushes toward Tanjiro to crush him. However, activating the selfless state and a newly mastered transparent world, Sanemi is pinned to the ground in mere seconds, shocking the Hashiras. Kagaya asks Tanjiro to release him, as he explains that Tanjiro has been the secret ace that had been hiding all along. Tanjiro goes on to explain that they're at their absolute best in terms of numbers, but they need to find 2 missing pieces of the puzzle. The first is the Hashira training to manifest the Demon Slayer mark, and the second is the lady demon known as Tamayo, who is the only demon out of Muzan's control. The Hashiras are shocked. However, they do question Tanjiro. Rengoku pushes him to reveal more about his origins and how he mastered his unique breath at such a young age, as he was astonished to see someone closer to Muichiro's age being that strong. Tanjiro explains that he cannot risk revealing much about himself at the moment, but what he does know is that they could end Muzan's moonwalking tyranny before anyone loses their lives, while glancing at Rengoku. The Hashiras get to training as Lady Amane explains to the Hashiras once again that since Tanjiro has awakened the Demon Slayer mark, it will most likely spread through the Hashiras now, given they satisfy the condition Tanjiro explained. A heart rate of over 200 beats per minute, a temperature of 102 Fahrenheit, and a life-threatening encounter with one of Muzan's favorite clowns. One important detail Tanjiro decides to give the Hashiras are the abilities of the upper demons, except for Kokushibo and Doma, the ones which he didn't know himself. Tanjiro talks to Kagaya alone and explains that he might meet Lady Tamayo in Asakusa, and that she'll be the key to weakening Muzan so that he can deliver the final blow. As Tanjiro is speaking, Techin, the master swordsman from the swordsmith village, arrives with Yorichi's original sword that Tanjiro had requested. Tekken explains that he was surprised by Tanjiro's weird request to open the fighting doll modeled after Yorichi, and that he would find a sword such as this in it. Although he was worried about what Kotetsu would say, the letter that Tanjiro wrote to him mellowed him down enough for Tekken to actually take the sword and refine it. Armed with the magnificent blade, Tanjiro heads towards Asakusa and finds Lady Tamayo. However, unlike last time when Tamayo helped him of her own accord, this time he's just a stranger to her, hence dangerous. And this soon turns into a reality as he's confronted by Yushiro after he triggers his blood demon art by breaching the house barrier. Yushiro tries to attack Tanjiro, but the latter is easily able to subdue him. Tanjiro tries to explain that his love for MHA furries has led him to Asakusa and that he will not go without an unhinged fan on his way back. Okay, I'm just kidding. As Tanjiro struggles with Yushiro, Lady Tamayo enters and asks Yushiro to stop. One look at Tanjiro and Lady Tamayo remembers that fateful day when Muzan felt fear for the first time. The day Yorichi cut Muzan literally into more than 1,000 pieces, freeing Tamayo from her. Tamayo listens to Tanjiro's plan. Tanjiro reveals that he knows the drug Lady Tamayo's work on that turns demons back to humans. However, she doesn't have what is needed to finish her work. That's the blood of the demon moons, the ones closest to Muzan. Tamayo is intrigued. She reveals that in order to defeat Muzan, she developed better drugs, and that she has already perfected one, which might age him rapidly. Tanjiro reveals that Shinobu the insect Hashira and she could actually come up with a temporary drug that is derived from Shinobu's wisteria poison that'll enable them to weaken Muzan just enough for Tanjiro to kill him. Thus, the stage is set. The day when Tanjiro's family was slaughtered was about to arrive yet again. And this time around, the prey was going to be the predator, making it Muzan's last day on the planet. Muzan arrives on Mount Kumotori after not being able to find the blue spider lilies yet again. He's almost sent into a raging frenzy. However, he hears a voice a bit too similar as he approaches Tanjiro's home. As he opens the wooden door, he sees Kagaya sitting there, just sitting there. Kagaya calmly smiles at Muzan and introduces himself. Muzan is both perplexed and enraged by Kagaya's nonchalant behavior. However, before he could do anything, iron chains wrapped around him as he was pulled back. Muzan finds himself stuck in 𝐿𝐵𝐻's chains, but he's unable to cut through them. Finally, 𝐿𝐵𝐻 releases the chain, setting Muzan free, which slaps a grin on Muzan's face. However, before Muzan could unleash any attacks, a hand emerged out of the snow, impaling him in his body. Lady Tamayo reveals herself, shocking Muzan to the core. The sudden appearance of Kagaya, Tamayo, and being surrounded by every Hashira seems bizarre to him. Muzan had never been in such a dire situation ever since he faced Yorichi. As Muzan tries to decode how to get out of the tough spot, he's once again overcome with memories of his encounter with Yorichi. But all 7 of his hearts drop down into his crotch as he sees Tanjiro closing the distance. He instantly goes into panic as this Tanjiro looks freakishly similar to Yorichi. The aimless glare of the selfless state, the Demon Slayer mark on the head, and the black sword all remind him of that fateful day. Muzan immediately orders Nakime to open a portal to let him in the castle. However, Tanjiro, having gone through it already, is prepared. Tenjin and 𝐿𝐵𝐻 together use long chains to keep distance from openings to the Infinity Castle while trying to bind Muzan and keep him on the surface. Finally, as dawn starts getting closer, Nakime, instead of trying to bring Muzan back into the castle, unleashes all the upper demons onto the Hashiras to stop the tirade. As the brawl between the Hashiras and the upper moon starts heating up, Muzan begins feeling weak. It's as if his body were being burned from the inside. He realizes that when Tamayo attacked him and he absorbed her, he must have also absorbed whatever Tamayo had in her fist. Some kind of poison, perhaps. A new matchup is set between the upper moons and the Hashiras, with actually different pairings. The duo of Tenjin and 𝐿𝐵𝐻 face off against Kokushibo, as Sanemi and Giyu become the best offensive-defensive pair, taking on Doma, while Rengoku faces Akaza once again, but this time with the added power of the Demon Slayer mark. Shinobu and Mitsuri face off against Gyotaro and Daki, while Obanai and Muichiro together face Gyoko and Hantengu. All while Tanjiro battles Muzan in his ever-weakening state. The mountain that rarely saw any kind of disturbance was now a battleground for the future of humanity. Nakime keeps trying her best to bring everyone into the Infinity Castle, but as the battle progresses, suddenly her connection to the surface is cut. It is revealed that Yushiro started encircling the whole mountain with his blood demon art as soon as the battle begun, in order to isolate Muzan. One by one, as the Hashiras start summoning their demon slayer marks, as the upper moons start falling prey to them. First, Gyoko falls prey to Muichiro's blade, first as he gets rage baited by him successfully again. Soon, Obanai, who was struggling with Hantengu's Akuten form, is reminded of the other form Tanjiro told him about. He lets loose a snake that follows Hantengu's real form in the snow, all while guiding Muichiro to it. Muichiro claims his second kill, while Obanai deals with Hantengu's dragons. On the other part of the mountain, Shinobu is easily able to stop Daki with just her poison, without her demon slayer mark, while Mitsuri starts to push Gyotaro back easily with her flexible blade, confusing the demon. Gyotaro finds himself getting pushed toward Daki, and after unsuccessfully beheading Gyotaro several times, Mitsuri too is reminded that both of the siblings' heads need to be cut in tandem for them to lose. With the help of Shinobu, she's able to pin both the siblings back to back. Gyotaro, who thought that he'll be able to protect Daki much better at close range, had just made the biggest mistake of his demon life. Shinobu out of nowhere activates her last form, Dance of the Centipede, and impales her most effective poison across Gyotaro and Daki's chest, pinning them together. Mitsuri wraps her sword around both the siblings' necks, snapping them in one go. With only the top 3 demons remaining, Tanjiro realizes that conditions are not apt for them to wait to behead all 3 upper demons, as well as Muzan, as they are the only ones left who are immune to being beheaded. The final ray of hope comes in the form of the rising sun, wherein Tanjiro accesses the last piece of the puzzle, the red blade, and cuts Muzan's flesh in a way that stops his regeneration. Seeing his death approaching, Muzan tries to dig a hole and actually retreat into the earth to save himself, but Tanjiro doesn't let him. Kokushibo, Doma, and even Akaza start getting helpless as their fights start going towards stalemates with no end in sight. Seeing their end being near, Doma decides to abandon the fight, but he's stopped by Sanemi and Giyu. Kokushibo too is bound in unbreakable chains by Gyome and Tenjin, while Akaza relishes in his final battle against Rengoku, seeing his end nearing him, as the first rays of the sun hit Muzan's body and he starts to disintegrate. He remembers Yorichi's last words, and how Tanjiro ended what he started 500 years ago.